You are at the Shop Talks, which is a function of InKitchen. InKitchen.com is free information online. We have a YouTube channel, InKitchen. Check that out. This and all videos are up there for the last 4 years. There's a lot of great information. Give a little plug for our poster printing over there, which is benefits a great homelessness program here in Fort Worth. I want to thank our sponsors that make all this possible, which is Los Angeles Apparel, Hirsch, AlphaBroder, Stalls, Reese, and Fairweather Johnson. And from Fairweather Johnson, I have Moreno and Zahir here. We're going to talk about regenerative technologies, and it's a topic that's really, I find interesting and important. And so this is one of my favorite topics during the whole weekend here. All right, Aaron, what is regenerative technology? Let's start with that.
Regenerative technology is the use of already generated materials and finished product, breaking them back down and using the raw materials to then regenerate a new product with low consumption of energy and other natural materials.
So are you talking about garments that were already made? Are you talking about just waste from the factory floor, both? What kind of things?
We're talking about garments that people donate. We're talking about fabric scrap from the floor. We're talking about all industries that have a cotton or polyester fiber in it that we can regenerate and put them back into a garment.
So how does that work? Like, take us through, like, you know, all right, you sweep up the scraps, you pile up the red t-shirts, and then what happens to them?
In the factory itself, the collection of the raw material is probably our biggest challenge. Getting the fibers to make the colors we need to incorporate an entire color line and not just have one garment. But the actual collection of the process, you know, I'll defer to Zack, who's in the factory day to day and has more details on it than I can provide. So Zack, tell them the whole process.
All right, so you got red t-shirts. How do you have to take the buttons off and like the zippers, and like, what do you do?
So the process is very simple. We just collect garments, collect scrap, chop them up together, convert them back into gin material, spin them back into yarn, knit them into knitted fabric, cut and sew them into a t-shirt, and there we have a finished product. So it's as simple as that.
So it's only white t-shirts and you dye them, right?
No, there's absolutely no dyeing involved. So
leading question here.
Yeah, absolutely. So all dyed scrap, all t-shirts are segregated. Color t-shirts are segregated separately. You have the black t-shirts or the black textile fabric, which is segregated separately. The red fabric is segregated separately. So all colors are segregated separately, chopped up, ginned, converted into fiber, spun into yarn, knitted into fabric, cut and sewn into a t-shirt. So that's exactly how it is. And for those who are interested, we have some scrap over here. You can have a look at it. We have scrap at the bottom of...
I love show and tell. This is going to be good. All right.
Yeah. So, so it's not very difficult. It's very simple, as long as we have the segregation of scrap happening right at the beginning, and we have the finished product that doesn't involve any dyeing, and we save a humongous amount of water in the process.
This is really interesting because, you know, where I live, actually, they've made it, it's not like they go and arrest you, but it's illegal to put textiles in your trash. Actually, they have collection boxes all around our city, and you have to put the textiles there. So eventually, I'm guessing some of those textiles are going to make it to a process similar to yours. They have to do something with it. They can't all be reused. So this is really important. You got the inputs, somewhere the output has to happen, right?
It's bigger than that. I mean, it's a growing trend that's going to be pushed onto us even more. If you read up on the state of New York wants to go in and estimate the amount of scrap that apparel companies are, you know, dispersing every year and tax them on it. So how would you like the government, you know, estimating your scrap on your apparel product and then putting a tax to it?
You're gonna come out a winner on that one.
No, it's and now with the technology and what's going on, it's much easier to source a regenerated tee than it's been in the past. It's catching on. More and more companies are doing it. One, the disposal of the fabric is a cost. You know, used to be cardboard, you could recycle cardboard and they'd pick it up for free or even pay it. Now they're going to charge you money to pick up cardboard to recycle it. So the point of having to recycle the fabric and regenerate it, it's a movement that's going to continue, and more people are going to buy into it and add it to their line. Fairweather Johnson, we have a complete recycled line.
So the other thing that seems exciting about it is that all the companies that have regenerative fabric, there's less water use, right? So you want to give the details in your particular case of what you've estimated?
Yeah. In my career, I was on the senior management team, and we erected 2 vertical mills. The first one in Anaheim, California, and then we moved the factory down to Sonora, Mexico. Within those factories, the water consumption was 1 million gallons of water a day we were using, right next to Disneyland, and then right across the border in the Sonora Desert. It was funny, in the Sonora Desert, I lived right across the border in Arizona, where my son played on a baseball field, where they had a huge sign that says, hey, this field saves 1 million gallons of water a year. Yet, a mile away, we're discharging 1 million gallons of water a day. So, in the normal manufacturing process, a t-shirt will consume about 1,400 gallons to produce one t-shirt. The Fairweather Johnson tee uses 12.
Damn. Let's hear that again.
1,400 gallons to make the conventional single t-shirt versus 12 gallons to make the Fairweather Johnson.
You know, the New York Times last week had a whole series on how the aquifers in the United States are being depleted. And I'm sure that's true around the world as well, where they may not have the same measurements. But so this is a pretty huge type of thing, right? And it's hard to fathom, I think, sometimes when you see floods in certain places. But you know, climate change not just isn't linear. Like some places have severe droughts. I know my kids live up in Minnesota, where for them it's a drought, whereas New England's had too much rain, and you certainly can't count on water supply. So this is a pretty amazing statistic here, actually.
Well, the beautiful thing about Fairweather Johnson, like I said, is the elimination of the dye house. You know, even in our factory down in Sonora, we had to go deep into the aquifer to get the water we needed. And the deeper you go, the harder minerals, and to get the dye correct, the minerals that you had to pull out of the water, the chelation and the chemicals you had to use it, is more energy, more chemicals, and that to get a consistent dye job. So the elimination of that process has made the Fairweather Johnson t-shirt much easier to produce.
So you probably have to put up with a little color variation, yeah?
Absolutely. I mean, but at the same
Which seems like a very small price to pay to have this kind of sustainability in a process, you know?
Yeah, but like you said, the concept or the makeup of the t-shirt is like 55-45 in all our garments. But if you're putting out a blended product like a black heather or an athletic heather, I'll throw the Fairweather Johnson into any stack of t-shirts that are not remanufactured or regenerated and ask them to pull the recycled shirt out. I don't think you can. At the same time, if you look at one of our gold or light color shirts and you look at it, you can see the recycled fiber in it, and the customers that want to promote the recycled, they love it.
That's cool, yeah. All right, so and the response is pretty good, right? I would guess that people, because one other thing, I mean, we have a all-made guy out here too, is I think a lot of what you guys are doing is really, it's also affordable. You know, a lot of people want to do something more positive, but if it's extremely expensive, that makes it a very tough sell. Right. And you're in the ballpark, All-Made's in the ballpark of, you know, a reasonable increase that people are willing to pay. You know, if you're paying $350 for a shirt and then suddenly you got to pay $450, you know, all right. If you're paying $350 and suddenly someone wants you to pay $950, you know, that's a very boutique-y thing that's not really going to have a great effect on the world. So I kind of got to hand it to some of you that are doing this in an affordable way that's actually going to make a substantial difference. You know, I'm not saying those other efforts aren't great and kind of push the envelope, but they're not going to make the kind of widespread change, I think, that is needed. So anything else you want to say, and then we'll open it up to questions?
Yeah, the one thing that we learned at Fairweather Johnson is trying to appeal to the new generation. The new generation coming out of colleges are eco-friendly. They want to do good things for the environment. So the regenerated brand, not only do you need a good product, you need a good following. You need a good clientele that's going to reorder and rebuy from you. And that's why when we started out, we angled it towards university sports and apparel and athletic wear. One, we're big sports fans, and two, they care more about the garment they're buying. These are the people that want to rent eco-friendly homes and not be a burden on the planet.
All right. Any questions out there about regenerative technologies, or my lovely wife actually will answer the mic.
As someone that runs a print shop, have you seen any good techniques other print shops have done to get people to buy their garments besides price only as well?
That's a good question. So I'll just repeat that question, which is any good ways to help sell a product like this, you know?
I mean, I've seen the print shops. The prints that I like the best have either been discharged or water-based inks. You know, it's easy to put plastisol on there, but honestly, that pulls away from the concept of being eco-friendly.
And I guess also your question is, how do you sell this shirt over another shirt? Is that what you mean also?
I mean, it's hard to like get people to change so quickly, especially if they've been buying the same thing for like 10 years.
So how do you get people off the mark to change?
And that's why we're appealing to the kids of the future. That's why we're at the university. These guys that have it in their mind, that get excited about the apparel industry and having their own brand, you got to start young and believe in your product and just be honest and faithful.
I think from my point of view, because I own a large print shop, we print like almost 1 million shirts a year. So the way we try to sell it is, I think, being very transparent and very honest so people trust us, so you don't oversell it. I think that's really important. You know, I think sometimes in America especially, oversell and sell are synonymous, and I think that if you're really transparent and honest about it and talk about the differences, and also help them sell it to whoever it is they're selling to. So you might be printing for a school, make sure that buyer knows the facts, get a few facts that are simple that they can relay to their customers, and they might be willing to charge the extra dollar or what have you. The other is to look for situations where that price doesn't make as much of a difference. So if you have an online store and you're selling a shirt for 25 bucks, you might be able to absorb that dollar and make a nice story online that you can sell people on. I think online it's a lot easier also because you can put links in where people can do the research. And I think that the generation you're talking about likes to do research quickly on their phones about what is meant by what you're telling them. And so those are some techniques I would recommend. Other questions? There we go. I was going to almost ask you up here, now I saw you out there.
Is the recycle companies growing? Are there more of you? And just kind of curious, how many more recycle companies are there, if you know?
So the question is, do you think the recycle movement is growing, and how many are there? I mean, actually, I'll just jump in a little bit. We were talking about a company, Lane 7, that has a regenerative garment, and actually they were telling me that they actually always had it, but they're finally talking about it. Because one thing I guess about regenerative technology can actually make things less expensive for some products, right?
Yeah, using regenerated yarn, especially on fleece product where it's a 3N yarn, using one in the backing or whatever, it's a normal concept. They've been doing it. But going back to how do you get the other companies to buy it? Corporate America's all over it. Corporate America wants to be known that they're sustainable. Music industry, the rock bands, the groups that are environmentally conscious, they want something where they're making a killing on the t-shirts as it is, 50 bucks. Spending 50 cents to 75 cents more for a regenerated product is nothing to them. So outdoor companies, you know, anybody that's out in the natures, the parks and things like that, they're all for it. I keep telling every customer that walks by, anybody that's got it into a waste management disposal, if they're not using a recycled garment, come on, you know. We've been, learned a lot about the eco-friendly, and keeping stuff out of the waste in the landfill is huge for everybody.
All right, how about that guy over there?
All right, so you guys use post-industrial and post-consumer. in your blend?
You came late. They said that.
So I was reading on their website. How much of the post-consumer versus post-industrial do you use, and where do you source the post-consumer from?
Okay, that's a question for me. So we use both post-industrial waste, which comes out of the United States, out of Bangladesh. We don't have any post-industrial waste coming out of China. So it's all the industrial waste that comes out of India, out of Bangladesh, Vietnam, Cambodia that we use at the moment. Ideally, we would like to use all the post-consumer waste out of the United States, because the United States has a lot of apparel that's being disposed at the moment. So ideally, going forward, the future would be to collect or to find means to collect all the post-consumer waste, get them segregated over here, start at the university level of segregation, get the younger generation involved in waste segregation at the university level, get that entire waste color-wise segregated, chopped up over here in the United States, get them transported back, reduce carbon footprint, regenerate the entire fiber, convert them into t-shirts and bring them back into the United States. That's going to complete the entire accountability and traceability of the circularity that we need to promote to add value into the entire process of selling the product at Fairweather Johnson.
So what does, on the post-consumer, what does the screen print and the process of screen printing, whether it's plastisol or water-based or discharge, what does that do to the ability to recycle that t-shirt back into a t-shirt?
So all the patches that are printed, embroidered, they are recycled separately, and that is used to make bags. They are not used to make, we don't use that to make yarn to make t-shirts. That's used for accessories. Yarns are used to make accessories or like shopping bags and things like that.
So you can't cut the print out of it? Or
we cut the print out of it, and then it's recycled separately.
Okay. And then
So we need to make smaller prints.
Well, you know, I get asked this by screen printing shops all the time, like, what can we do with our waste? What can we do with our, garments that are, seconds or whatever, for whatever reason? And that's just, I think there's a big opportunity there, to find a supply chain that screen print shops can, donate to.
Consumer waste is something that cannot be avoided, but there's a way to reprocess and recycle every bit of waste that comes out of apparel, no matter whether it's a misprint or something that's wrong on a garment. It can be reprocessed, recycled, and something can be made out of it, like a shopping bag.
And then a follow-up question to that, can you recycle a blend?
Yes.
Are you recycling blends too?
Yes, we do
Not just-
recycle blends as well.
Okay, cool.
Good questions, thanks. He's from Allmade, who does organic and recycled and regenerative as well. Yeah, all three. Other questions? All right. Any last words, my friends?
Yeah, closing comment. The Fairweather Johnson brand, like I said, it's a 100% recycled brand. A lot of companies out there have a recycled piece, but how many have a complete recycled brand? Not only do a t-shirt long sleeve, but we have an amazing sweater line that we're doing jacquard knits in it that the universities have really latched onto and ran with. The ugly Christmas sweater, beautiful concept, done in a 100% recycled product. It's fun.
Really, I always thought they were supposed to be recycled, not made from recycled.
But it's fun. Like I said, I've been in this industry for 30 years, and to see this angle and the approach has really lit a fire under us to do it again. Not to mention that starting slow and growing it, we don't have to jump to get something happen. We're able to make the 100% recycled cardboard box. We're able to go with the old gum glue tape that's biodegradable. If there's a poly bag in there, it's a biodegradable poly bag that breaks down quick. The garment's made to break down and be recycled again.
Yeah, and I'm going to repeat what I said before. I kind of like that you have like a large operation that's making a difference. That's what's good about Allmade and Samar working with that, is that, it was very hard as a end user to use a shirt that might not be available, like might not have inventory. Used to be like, all right, you got to wait for it, and then it's only so many of it, so you couldn't do anything quickly, you couldn't do anything large, you couldn't do anything consistently. That leaves very few jobs you could actually use these products for. And I think that the kind of supply that all of you have maintained here is actually allowing like serious print shops to use it and have a business using it. So thanks a lot for all that. Thanks for coming. How about a hand for these guys?
Hey,
Thank you.
thank you all.
All right. Thanks for coming. Thanks to our sponsors, Los Angeles Apparel, Hirsch, AlphaBroder, Stalls, Reese, and Fairweather Johnson, who make these talks possible. Check out our YouTube channel, and thanks for coming.